James Penley, and my informative speech is on diesel engines. My audience is my wife. Say hi.
Hi.
And my daughter is now asleep on the bed, so hopefully she'll be okay. She won't wake up and interrupt me. Okay, so the success of diesel-powered vehicles for civilian use has seen a remarkable increase over the last decade, despite being the primary use in commercial and military applications since its beginning. Now, while the disadvantages of diesel technology are significant, the advantages seem to outweigh them for a growing number of people. Also, diesel technology continues to be used heavily worldwide, whereas the U.S. Has been behind in its development and implementation, mainly in the small car segment due to strict regulations in the automotive industry. Now, the gas-powered engines of today, they owe their economy and reliability to the diesel engine. If you look at almost any classic car or truck, you will find that these vehicles rely on a simple carburetor-based fuel system, like this carburetor right here, which came off my CJ7. Now, carburetors rely on the internal mixing of fuel and air with the idea that this fuel mixture will be distributed evenly amongst the cylinders by way of the intake manifold. Now, the newer gasoline engines rely on a very complex fuel injection system that injects fuel directly into each cylinder, which provides more power and fuel efficiency. Now, diesel engines have been using this type of fuel injection from the beginning and continue to do so even in today's high-tech diesel vehicles. Now, popular belief is that diesel engines are only found on semi-trucks and similar large commercial vehicles, but that idea could not be further from the truth. In addition, there are many myths that may have once been true but since have changed as the engine designs have advanced. Now, regardless, there are still some disadvantages that are common with diesel engine technology and design. Some of the most unpopular ideas surrounding diesel engines are the noise and the amount of pollution they make, which is why a lot of people do not like them. And, to make matters worse, Volkswagen was recently involved in an emissions scandal, and according to Forbes magazine, they faced fines as much as $18 billion, and it involved computer software manipulation, which altered the exhaust samples on vehicles being tested. Now, at one time, throughout America, a farmer could be seen driving his vintage tractor, or a semi-truck driver driving along, pulling a big load of goods, spewing a large cloud of black smoke along the back roads of America. But what once was a common trait among diesel engines, the black exhaust, now is really a thing of the past. Every day, millions of modern diesel-powered cars and trucks can be seen driving along our roads and interstates without even a puff of black smoke, indicating that a diesel engine is under the hood. Now, with industry regulations tightening every year, automakers are just forced to work to make the diesel engines more environmentally friendly. Now, pollution seems to be a hot topic these days in regards to the environment and in automobiles, and in fact, is the basis for this whole Volkswagen scandal. Now, while most people do not know the actual details of the issue, the idea was actually quite simple. While these cars still provided great gas mileage that Volkswagen diesels are known for, Volkswagen just was not able to do so and conform to the strict standards that were set. So while providing that efficiency. So some clever technicians, although deceitful, they were able to manipulate these emissions tests by incorporating what they called a defeat device in their software that allowed the cars to emit way less pollutants during their testing. In fact, the software was just so brilliant that they could actually detect when the car was being tested, and the car itself, where they would change the engine parameters to conform to the testing limits. But once back on the road, the car's system would detect it and go back to operating normally, and while emitting 40 times the U.S. legal limit of nitrogen dioxide. Now, while this particular case involved millions of cars and people worldwide, this particular case is very isolated, and industry regulators surely would not let this sort of scandal happen again. Now, cost would probably be the biggest disadvantage in owning a diesel vehicle. Now, the added cost for a diesel option to any new 3/4 or 1 ton pickup truck is pretty huge, adding as much as $8,600 for a Duramax if you were to buy a GM product, or $9,000 for a Power Stroke or Cummins from Ford or Dodge. Now, also those standard 1995 oil changes will not apply. Now, while the average V8 in today's truck uses only like 6 to 7 quarts of oil, my 5.9 Cummins in my truck uses 11 quarts, whereas some Ford Power Stroke engines, they can use up to 15 quarts of oil. So when you combine that with the more expensive fuel filter and oil filter, that average oil change can go well over $100 every 5,000 miles. Now, diesel engines are getting more powerful every year, and the new Cummins 6.7 liter, they're pushing now around 900 foot-pounds of torque, which is more than double the power of a standard gasoline V8. So with all that power, a heavy-duty transmission is necessary, and fixing one is just not cheap. I recently had to get the 4L60E transmission in my Suburban rebuilt, and it set me back over $1,500. But the basic cost for a quality rebuild on my Dodge Ram 2500 would set me back almost $4,000, and even higher if I had even more upgrades. So the cost will come as quite a shock for anyone new to diesels, but they're just kind of a normal and everyday part of owning a diesel truck. Now, with all the disadvantages, the advantages can outweigh them for some people. For some people who work, say, in the farming or construction and need to tow a heavy load every day, a diesel truck is just necessary. Now, according to Chevrolet, while the newest Silverado 1500 can tow up to 1,200 pounds, the newest diesel-powered Silverado HD can tow over 23,000. So the fact that it can tow twice as much alone is enough to compel some people to buy a diesel pickup truck for work or even recreational activities. Now, in addition to towing, diesel engines also offer some more advantage in regards to power and fuel mileage in stock form, that even more with just a few simple modifications. The tuning industry, for example, has exploded over the last decade, allowing diesel owners to add hundreds of horsepower and torque with just the push of a button. Those with a gas-powered car truck, they're going to have to rely on systems like a turbocharger or a supercharger to get similar gains, but they do cost quite a bit more. Now, with the addition of a simple tuner like I have on my truck, I can get quite a bit more power and fuel economy. For example, my truck in stock form, I get about 17 miles to the gallon. Now, with the tuner on performance setting, I get about 75 more horsepower and about 200 foot-pounds of torque. Now, my fuel economy jumps from 17 to just under 21 on the highway. But as any diesel owner knows, with any upgrades, just like on my truck, I will tell you that sometimes it's just way too much fun to keep your foot off the pedal. So it kills my gas mileage, but I'd say I'm having a lot more fun. Now, most cars these days offer factory options that were once just really only found on luxury cars. And these days, trucks are just as refined as any new BMW or Mercedes. In fact, you can add all kinds of options like leather seating, DVD navigation, TVs, sunroofs. So now you really don't have to pick and choose between a work and play vehicle. So the car manufacturers have designed today's trucks to be able to handle the demands of working in harsh environments, all while being classy enough to go to a black tie event. Just make sure you wash the truck first. So in many cases, these new trucks actually cost even more than some luxury cars. So despite all the disadvantages, diesel engines have continued to be at the front of commercial and military applications, all while gaining in popularity with the average consumer. So whether your job requires you to pull like a heavy trailer every day, or you just like knowing that your big four-wheel drive diesel truck can not only outrun the Mustang that's next to you at the light, but also can run over it. There's just some rewards and advantages that come with it. So while the cost of owning a diesel truck and maintaining it may drive some people away, sometimes added costs are just a normal part of life for the diesel enthusiast. So since your car or truck is the second most expensive purchase you'll make next to your home, and the fact that you spend so much time in it, people are starting to choose these large diesel trucks because of all they have to offer. So when you're ready to purchase your next vehicle, make sure you do your research and find out if a diesel car or truck is right for you. Hope you enjoyed my my speech, and talk to you soon. Bye.